Hello, this is Science Fiction Snob, and today we're going to talk about my fears about Avengers Endgame. Now, the daughter and I went to see Captain Marvel last night. You can see our review of the movie. Link will be in the description. And before I saw this movie, I wasn't really worried about Avengers Endgame. A friend of mine who's pretty much a normie, he watches superhero movies. We go together usually to see most of them, and but he doesn't follow the comic books or the lore as closely as I do. I would say he's just a normal guy for regarding that stuff. So we were talking the other day, and we were talking about Captain Marvel, and he had mentioned that he had heard bad things about it. And so I gave him, a little background of the character and what's been going on, that sort of thing. And he expressed concern about Captain Marvel. He says, "Oh, is that going to wreck Endgame?" And I told him I didn't think so, and there's a bunch of reasons for that, which I'll go over. But I was pretty confident that time, which was only a week ago. Now, after seeing Captain Marvel, I am less confident about that. So the reasons I initially did not fear Captain Marvel ruining Endgame there's a bunch of reasons. So first of all, Infinity War was a near perfect movie. It was an excellent superhero movie. The Russo Brothers, who directed it, they did Infinity War and Endgame back to back. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings. They did all three Lord of the Rings movies and then released them over a 2-year period. The Russos, my understanding is that they did both of the movies. They're basically one movie, just split up in a logical way. So, I can't imagine that you would. When a director does a movie, it's usually a cohesive vision. Now, not always things can, directors can change, things can happen. But you would think that if you're going to do Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, you're doing it all together. It should be fairly cohesive. I don't expect one half of a movie, in a sense, to be excellent, near perfect, and the other half to suck. There should be some, similar level of quality. So that made me think that Endgame is going to be at least, perhaps it won't be quite as good as Infinity War, but it should be right up there with quality. They should be able to deliver us a good movie. The quality shouldn't change that much. I also believe that based on how the Russo brothers did in Avengers Infinity War, they have a good idea of what the audience wants and what they need to do in this movie. These two Avengers movies are the culmination of Phase 3 for the Avengers. After Phase 3, we're going to go on with, some new, maybe some old, but also some new characters in the Marvel Universe. So this is the swan song for those characters that are going to be retired or we might not see as much. Likely characters like Captain America and Tony Stark, Iron Man. So what are they going to do? Are they really going to have... this is... Iron Man and Captain America are two characters that people have, loved over the last 10 years. Are you really going to have their final swan song movie and then have some other character that nobody knows come in and save the day? No. Unless you're drunk or high or stupid. People want to see these characters finish their arc. Captain Marvel, Tony Stark, these guys have to be pivotal in saving the day. You'd have to be a fool not to understand that and know that that's what the audience wants. Even if the Russo brothers shoehorn Captain Marvel into Endgame, surely they understand that fact that the fans want to see the end of Tony Stark and Captain America's arc and not some new character they've never seen before. Let's talk a little bit about the end credit scene now. So this is a spoiler if you haven't seen it. So right after the credits, there's two end credit scenes The second one is a sort of a jokey one, similar to the ant playing the drums in Ant-Man, but it's the first one that is, the only thing that is important to the Endgame. In that scene, you've got the MCU characters, Black Widow, Captain America, and I mean, I can't describe how, after watching Captain Marvel and watching it, ho hum, to see those guys come on screen, I'm just like, oh yeah. And they come on screen and they're saying, oh, it stopped beeping. And they're talking about, they're saying, it stopped beeping, but that shouldn't happen. We hooked it up to its power source. We bypassed the battery and hooked it up to the power source. And one of the other characters says, yeah, it's still getting power. I can't explain it. And so then the camera pans over, and it's the pager that Nick Fury was seen carrying in Infinity War, at the end of Infinity War. And also, Captain Marvel gives him the pager in Captain Marvel. So it cuts to that, and then all of a sudden there's a sort of a bit of a surprising jump cut, and then Captain Marvel is standing behind all of them, and she says, "Where's Fury?" And that's the end of the scene. So I'll tell you why that concerns me. So initially, I had seen looking at Endgame, it seems that it's going to start off with the hero. Tony Stark's gone. They don't know where he is. The other heroes on Earth seem in a bit of a depressed state. It's been some time since Thanos has the snap, and they're kind of dealing with that, and they haven't come up with a plan on how to stop it. So somehow through that, Tony Stark will get back to Earth. Hopefully, they'll come up with some sort of plan. I'm assuming it's going to revolve around Ant-Man showing up. They'll be like, "Oh, Ant-Man's here. He's got an idea. Now we have an idea of how we can, go with this." So I had hoped that Captain Marvel wouldn't ruin Endgame. She would just sort of, at some point she would show up, and maybe she'd be part of the fight. But I hope that she wouldn't be a key part of the fight. I'm hoping that the key people would be, the characters that we've come to know and love over the past 10 years. But the fact that this trailer makes me think that maybe that's not true. The in the clip at the end of Captain Marvel, we see, it looks like early part in the movie, they're sort of standing around. They don't seem to know what's going on. They're not, have a determined look on their face like, yeah, we've got a plan and we're just getting our plan organized. It's more like the characters look like they're still searching for what to do. They look a little bit down. They're like, we got this thing. Maybe it could do something for us. How does it work? What can we do with it? Why did Fury have it? That kind of stuff. They haven't. So it appears to be earlier in the movie. So I'm just concerned that, now if Captain Marvel is showing up that early in the movie, maybe she has more to do with the movie than I initially thought. And if that's true, that scares me, that perhaps my confidence in the Russo brothers is misplaced. Maybe they don't understand that we want these characters that we've been seeing for 10 years, we want this to be the end of their arc, a conclusion to their arc. We want them to be the heroes. We've seen them being heroic through ups and downs for 10 years. We want to see what they're going to do at the end and how they're going to solve this big problem. So, Russo brothers, I hope you're listening, and I hope that my fears are not true. There's some rumors going around that there is actually 2 endings to Endgame, and it will depend on how well Captain Marvel does. Which ending they use, which is, it's a rumor, who knows if it's true, but it's implying that if people don't like Captain Marvel, then they have some sort of ending where she's, pivotal in it. But if people don't like her, then they're going to go with some other ending, where she's not pivotal in defeating Thanos. So, that seems kind of short-sighted to me. I don't even see why they would even make an ending where Captain Marvel would be key to the end of Thanos, based on what I said just before about how we want to see the old characters, finish their arc. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I have my fingers crossed. Russo Brothers Marvel. I hope you don't make a big mistake, but we'll wait and see. Thanks for listening. If you like this content, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. I'm trying to put out more and more videos lately and focus on things that I and you will find interesting. So I'll see you in the next video.